In life, we must believe that things end, things end at the right time. Things end, things end in due time. This time, it will be my time, yeah. In due time, in my time. I'm so glad that it's my time. We behind. That came up quicker than I wanted it to, actually. I was just sitting here looking like, you know what? I'm gonna be so smooth with the transition. But you know what? I heard something over, I think, the weekend. I don't know who said it. It might have been this lady I watched named Joy Blair or someone. But I mean, it was more so confirmation. It's not something new that I've heard. It's kind of something I lived by anyway. Doing things on your own, like being resourceful. I think I've always had to be very resourceful, regardless. Now, granted, it doesn't feel good having to do things by yourself a lot of times, but you got to start somewhere. You know, you can't be relying and waiting on other people. I don't know, to chase after the thing that God is giving you. And like I said, it does suck, but just go anyway. Just go anyway. Every time you're not going to have someone, and every time you're not going to be alone. That's one thing I know about it, you know. How it starts is not how it finishes, and one person's situation is not going to imitate or mimic yours, and vice versa. We all have an individual blueprint and walk that God has set for us. Some people, they'll have a whole clique and a whole system to go with. Like Abraham, he had his family and then his cousin Lot, and then was it his cousin? I don't know, his nephew. But then there's some people like I don't know. Elisha had to make the conscious decision to burn his ox and his working utensils in order to follow Elijah. And so sometimes there's a lot of things that you have to do on your own, and it may not look popular, and it may not be acceptable for some people. But you know, one thing, I was just in Matthew 18, and now that's kind of funny because it's coming back full circle. But this is Matthew 18 and 6. So let me read at least 4 through 7. So the greatest in the kingdom is whoever makes himself as humble as a child. That's good, actually. Whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me, and whoever ensnares one of these little ones who trusts me, it will be better for him to have a milestone hung around his neck and be drowned in the open sea. Woe to the world because of snares, for there must be snares, but woe to the person who sets the snare. And so, you know, we know in part what is a sin to God. We have the 10 commandments and we have the things that God has said, but everybody's transgression against God will not be the same. Some people, God have given a commandment to not eat meat. Some people, God have given a commandment to not do certain things or go in certain places, but that is not for everyone. That's personal convictions and things of that nature. And so, you know, it's the same in our professional lives. It's the same in our family dynamics. It's the same anywhere we go. You know, you have to be willing to listen to God over the utterances and the whispers of man. And it is a dangerous thing to be telling someone to do something opposite of what God told them to do, you know. And that's why, you know, it pays to be a praying person, and not just praying. You I think asking God for insight or asking God to open your eyes and give you the vision of what he has seen regarding X, Y, and Z is very important, you know, so that way we can actually help the flow of the will of God to transpire and not be going against the grain of it. But I mean, how does that tie into, I guess, today, or even going alone and doing things by yourself. Well, I think so more so now I want to try to focus on like doing like I don't know if I might do a new podcast or if I'm just gonna use the Believe in Your Growth podcast as like a diary setting. I kind of want to do a new podcast because the Believe in Your Growth, I want to be spiritual, faith based. And I mean, our emotions are faith based. God made us in his image. God gave us emotions, not for the emotions to have us, but for us to be able to, I think, give back to him and experience them in a righteous manner through anger, sadness. There's a season for everything. And there's a moment in time where you should be sad, where you should be crying and feeling some kind of way. Then there's a moment where the anger should subside and you should move on to better things and focus in whatever. The assignments change. The orientation. I don't think that's the right word I want to use, but it's just knowing when to transition out of certain things. But yeah, I just want to take this moment to just be expressive in my emotions and my sensitivities because I'm human, and you know that I don't think has to be separated from God, the human aspect and the realness of our lives. And I've never been one that's performative. I've never been a person that tries to act like I have it all together. I think people have tried to paint me out to be that person, and then it's like a self egotistical thing. Some people they feel inferior to you. Now I'm not saying this is everyone. This is just me theoretic, like, just imagining. But some people, they build you up because they want to watch you fall, and that way when you do fall, they can laugh, maybe not at you, but they can do it behind closed doors or whatever the case might be, because sometimes it's not always the public thing. Some people do take pride in seeing other people hurt in private, which is kind of sad. You wonder how wicked people could actually be, but no, that's a real thing. um you never really know who is against you, and that's why it pays to pray. It really does. um and it pays to pay attention. It's really important to actually be attentive with the things that are going on, the attributes and the characteristics that God allow you to see, and the discernment that is like you're given, because a lot of times I think it's revealed to us who is and who isn't for us. And with all that being said, I think the main thing that I want to talk about today is in the realm of my sensitivities is forgiveness. um I had a snippet, a little taste of what I was going to go into, and you know it reminded me of forgiving people 70 times 7. I initially thought it was 70 times 70, but either way, I plan on forgiving people as much as possible. Um and why is that? Because God can only forgive me as much as I plan on forgiving others. I think. I could be wrong, but in Matthew, this is still in Matthew 18, but we have the account of the, I guess I'll say, king and one of his servants um, forgiving his servant of a huge debt. Was gonna throw him in prison, but the servant pleaded, and the king was like, okay, I'll forgive you, I'll let it go, whatever. But then that same servant went to his servants, his subservients, and did not have the same grace and compassion, with a much smaller debt. And that came around, that quote unquote karma came around to bite that servant that was not so lenient about the debt. Now has to pay the debt that he owed the king. And so to me, it's just like, we live in a time where you would hope the way you treat others is the way you're going to be treated, but that's just not the case. And I know that's kind of not synergizing with the story, but it's just a thought of mine. It's very strange, how you can be whatever it is, whether it be kind, supportive, forgiving, whatever, you can do so much and not be graced and given that from other people. And it really could taint your heart and make you want to stop doing the right thing. But I'm proud of me for always trying to do the right thing, always wanting to go beyond what has happened to me, and bringing back the forgiveness portion. Like someone messaged me earlier today, and I thought about that thing. Um, I wouldn't say it's an anxiety because I don't have anxiety. I'm free of that. I know how to articulate and communicate my emotions and experience them in truth and fullness. And so, as I thought about it, it's like I just don't like when this person, and now this is a person that for that forgiveness 70 times 70 is, I mean 70 times 7 is critical. It's important. It's important. And it often makes me feel like, well, did I really forgive this person? But as I read Matthew 18, it just kind of dawned on me, like, forgiveness is not just your words, it's an action. you know are you trying to take it out on this person? Are you trying to, I guess, humiliate this person? Like, what is your intentions? Intentions do matter. I think the heart posture does matter. um did you let this person go? Do you remind this person every time? And especially if you say you forgive them and they're changing. Because one thing that we got from this was, in my opinion, the servant did not change his wicked ways. I mean, inevitably, and I guess that same wickedness that was able to run up the debt and not want to pay it back, but feel the need to plead for your life, but then go and be, still harsh. There was no true conviction. There was no true change of heart. And so that right there, I feel like it is very important. It shows us how God operates in justice, in my opinion. And though I'm not God, I do think that there's still a lesson in dealing with people who are not truthfully and are not truly repentant, and they don't actually want to change. They're just trying to get over on you and trying to remain in your life without giving you the respect that you are due. Because I think each and every single human being deserves the decency, a decent amount of respect, but also every human being should be presenting them respectable. And because you can lose it. I don't think people should be able to earn respect. I think it should always be given, but I think you should be able to lose respect once you start doing things that are very immoral, unethical, and stuff like that. But no, this when I don't know, this person I don't have the best relationship with. And granted, I try to love this person as much as I possibly can through the eyes of God, the love of God, and stuff like that. And yes, there's a lot of prayer going out for this situation. And it's just like, you know I find it just like with my faith, or with my decision to be obedient to God. I have to choose that every day. Um, with thorns and things tempting me, I have to choose to say no, or I have to choose to continue to walk in the path of righteousness every day, and know that God said he would preserve his righteousness, knowing that God wants to do that, knowing that God will lead me in the path of goodness, and actually take me out of the snares and the traps and the direction of sin and evil. and plots against me. And to me, you know, it's a part of my decision, but it's also a part of the collaboration and the agreement that I have with God. And the same with my forgiveness, you know, this is a collaboration and a thing that I have with God. Um, Forgiving other people no matter what they've done, because the thing is, it's all in the past, you know. It's all in the past. And I said this to someone, and I don't think people fully get it, you know, unless they're really in the position. But it's hard to forgive people of the same thing when they keep doing it over and over and over, and they're not really changing. But one thing that I believe heavily, that the forgiveness is for me. It's not for them. It's for me. And you know, I don't think there's any amount of focusing on what you can do that's gonna stop the pain. Or, well, no, I think that, let's just be honest, that's gonna stop the pain. And maybe I would dare to say torment, because I don't feel tormented. But if you're not careful, and I've learned to give all of my things to God, give every little situation to God, that's why I'm not tormented by it. But no, it's just I'm glad it's something that I don't fret over day to day. But I find it very funny, you know, when I want to be in a good place, in a good position of my life, and you know, I'm here, I feel as if though I'm hearing clearly from God in regards to the direction that I should be going. um Certain things decide they want to pop up, certain things decide to reveal themselves, and it's like, no, I don't have time. Yeah, I just don't have time. If you want to be in my life, here's how you can do it. You can support. That is the only presence and availability that I have for you. You know, that's the only allotment that I have for you, is supporting my podcast, supporting my poetry, supporting my songs, supporting my writing, supporting my art, supporting the gifts that God has given me, because this is not something that I gave myself. That is the only room that I have for anybody at this point in my life, because that is the only kind of love that I'm accepting. If you say you love a person, but you're not willing to actually be there for the things that God has given them, the love is shaky. The love don't make sense. It don't add up. It just don't. You know, I've taken a different posture. I think I've been silenced. And what do I mean by that? Growing up, I was told I don't have to put everything on the internet, which is true. I think that is very that was some good advice that I was given by my mother. I don't have to put everything on the internet. But I think to a degree it's also good advice, but then it's the kind of advice that should be filtered through the Holy Spirit. Why? Because some things have to be said, you know, and I think I refrain from trying to hurt people's feelings a lot, which ends up inevitably silencing me, you know, and silencing something that I believe that God may want to say. And people are very comfortable with their facades, putting on a face, good face, you know. And one thing about it, I people, I don't know, I never understand why people like to do that. The manipulation, the lies, the hypocriticalness is very weird to me. It's very weird to me. And I just don't want parts of it. But I think I'm in a season now where I don't really care who likes what I want to say or have to say. I'm just gonna say it. I'm still not gonna be. I'm trying not to be rude, because that's not godly. I try not to be malicious. That's just not godly. I don't have no personal attacks. None of this is personal. I mean, yes, it does involve me, but I think making it personal would take out the objective of God. making it personal would exclude the will of God and the whole desire for my life, and I don't have time for that because I cannot do this on my own. That's why it's essential that I forgive, because I need the help of God. I need everything God has for me in order to get to the places where people said I couldn't, do the things people said I couldn't do, whatever it is. Like I mentioned and remind myself now a lot of Nehemiah when they said that he wasn't gonna finish the wall, and he wouldn't do it or whatever. He said, I will. And then he also asked God for the success. And so there's a collaboration that we have, like with Moses, and God told Moses to speak to the rock and strike the rock, two different occasions. But, there's a collaboration that takes part in it, and I'm just here for it. I'm here for it regardless whether other people are or not. And if I be honest, I think that's probably been one of my biggest downfalls, is wanting, like I was mentioning earlier, I think in the beginning of the podcast, wanting help, you know, um, being so, if I say this, being talented and having so many gifts, skills, abilities, it is daunting because you want to do it all. And I was talking to someone the other day, and I were seemingly glorifying the variables, the lack of resources, their situation, right? What was available to them over the fact of, but see, this person, in my opinion, doesn't really have the faith, right? They don't really believe in Jesus or God, but they believe in God, which is very strange. I don't know. A lot of people, they're stuck in their humanism, which I guess makes sense, because if you can't see something, it's harder to believe in something you can't see. So you get stuck in what you can, experience and what's before you. But that's one thing about me. I don't want to get cynical, and I don't want to take out the faith aspect of my walk, my life, right? And become this person, well, what I was presented with just wasn't enough to get me there. I think that's the perfect situation for God to reveal himself. Like Paul said, I rejoice in this thorn. I rejoice in this weakness, because when I'm weak, and God said, well, no, did Paul say that? I think Paul said it, not God. But when I'm weak, God is proven to be strong, and I have just really taken up the posture, in my lack of certain things, resources, finances, support, whatever it might be. I've understood that's the perfect conditions for God to do a miracle in my life. And when I say miracle, I understand the concept of a miracle involving me, or not revolving and involving me. God doesn't need me to do anything in my life, but I think it's good that God collaborates with us and wants us to be active in it. I mean, one thing, you think about it, I'm trying to think of like a moment where there was something, no, when you think about every miracle in the Bible, I think there was an agreement to it. Like even with Abraham and Sarah, they had to have sex, right? Though they were old, they still had to have sex in order to have a baby. I'm sure that's what happened. The children of Israel, in order for them to come to the place where the Red Sea was split, they had to leave. They had to run. They had to get out of Egypt, and they had to come to the sea. And Moses had to look out to God, and call out for God and do what he did. So there's a collaboration in these miracles. And now, granted, well, I'm thinking about the 10 lepers. I'm pretty sure there's some people. Well, no, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know that, actually. Because now, when I think about it now, there was always an agreement. God doing his part, and the other person, no matter how small or how big, the participant being able to actually do their role as well. If it was saying yes, or if it was walking around the wall seven times. I think it was the wall of Jericho. And so, how does even that pertain to me? I've always done something. I was called lazy, which I kind of hate. I hate that for the people that called me lazy, because that means they never loved me. And that means that, and I think that may be a broad statement, but you can't love me. You can't love someone if you don't see what God sees, if I'm not mistaken. It's a fake love. It's a faux love. When you're not willing to fight for a person's future because of whatever reasons. I can go down the list. The love is it might be, there may be some love there, but it's fake. It's a fake love. And that I came into a season, I think I mentioned this. I came into a season where, and excuse me if I'm all over the place. I'm trying to flow. I'm trying to anyway. But I came into a season where I was actually doing nothing, and during this season, I wasn't really hearing anything from anybody, which is good. I think, and that's the sad part. Like, your life should not be void of people, but it's the crazy part when your life is better without other people. I don't know. It's very strange. It's very strange, because nobody should be alone. Nobody should be alone, and nobody should want to be alone. You get what I'm saying? So when it starts becoming like that I think everybody needs to start. And I mean, I'm talking about the person who's having the feelings and the people that are supposed to be in the life of this person. Everybody needs to start evaluating the issue and the problem and what's going on. And I don't think there's a lot of people ready and willing to take accountability, because I mention this all the time. Jonah, and I just saw a video about this, but this is not where I'm going with it. But in this video, the woman was talking about how Jonah was not in the right place at the right time. And that's why he ended up getting swallowed by the fish, which I think is true. But my reasoning for bringing up Jonah is the fact that God told Jonah to do something, and Jonah went the complete opposite way. And I think that's a lot of people today. A lot of people have envy and jealousy in their heart, or whatever the case might be, and they don't want to see someone be elevated above them. They don't want to see someone be forgiven of their sins, or their transgressions and iniquity. They don't want to see someone happy and truly moving on, whatever the case may be. A lot of people have that mentality, so they would rather run the opposite way and then say, well, God never told me to. And the fact of the matter is, I don't know if God would have killed Jonah or not. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's biblical, maybe it's said and stated, but I just don't know. Like, I have no idea. But my point is, we all have a decision, and God gives us the decision. There's a Bible verse that I was speaking about, I think, in one of the videos that I just uploaded. And I recently heard Miss Joy Blair, she's someone that I watch from time to time. She mentioned this verse too about withholding something from your neighbor, especially when you tell them, okay, hold on, when you have it, but you tell them that I'll give it to you tomorrow. Why would you do that? According to the Bible, that's wrong. I dare to say it's a sin, but it's wrong to make someone wait for something that they need or something that you have, whatever, right? Or something that they're due. And I think it's not just about money, it's not just about your employee when they work for something. Don't withhold the check from them, even though that's a thing too. Don't withhold payment and wages, but it's also respect. It's also honor. It's also support. It's also love. It's also whatever thing you could possibly give to a person, but your ego is getting in the way and preventing you from doing that thing. I don't know. That's wrong to me. It's super wrong. And I like to think, honestly, a lot in my life, I have been wronged in that area. And I think there's plenty of people who have been wronged in that area. But, I mean, you shouldn't let that become a thing that stops you, right? And I have learned now to pray, God, no matter what, send another person. Send someone who will be obedient, and make me someone that will be obedient, because I can't expect now granted, God is better than me, right? But I still want to be the kind of person that I'm praying for to intervene in my life, so that way if God needs me to do something, I can be readily able to do it. And I'm not sitting here just trying to receive from God and not partake and be involved in the goodness of God in other people's lives. And so, that to me, a lot of that even plays into me forgiving people, because regardless to what's been done to me, I always want to take that kind of pain and make sure and ensure that no one else is experiencing it as best as I possibly can. It's not easy. I can't, help everyone, but I can help if with the grace of God, I can help a lot of people. And, that's what I want to do. And that's why I genuinely want to lead with forgiveness. But I guess we go all the way back, I've understood that the mere fact that I try my best to have sit downs and have conversations, and I don't turn a cold shoulder, and I'm not completely distant. Now, granted, I don't go out of my way, I'm not going to go out of my way with certain people that have presented and shown me that they don't have love for me, right? I think it would have been silly for, let's say, Joseph to run away from Potiphar's house back to the family that tried to kill him. It was good that he stayed there. God had him there for a reason. Don't be foolish and go back to people that want to see you dead. They wanted to kill him. And though that probably broke his heart, and though he probably wanted their love, and though, there's so many things that probably was running through his mind, rampaging, in his heart, it's like, it's better that you stay here. Let me separate you from them, because they do not love you. Now, granted, let's say in this, I think it's like for us, Joseph's father loved him. Joseph's father wept, So there may be one person, there may be a few people in your community that care about you, right? But who knows the reasons why they're not able to do more? They're not able to do anything. We never really know. So it's just better that in the moment we're in, to allow God to do what God is going to do. And trust that God is going to protect everything that needs to be protected. Because even in my own life, I have a person that I believe cares about me a lot, and granted, everybody don't have the time to reach out to everybody every day, but even then, if it's not every day, you know, you hear a lot of people saying they love you. You hear a lot of people saying they miss you, but the words don't matter when the actions don't align. You understand? And this person, I don't have to question whether or not they miss me. I don't have to question whether or not they care about me, because the simplistic actions reveal that they do. Now, some people, they can put on a good show. Some people can. I don't know why you would, but you'll think they care, and they may not. They more than likely don't. But everybody needs that one person. And I'm thankful that God has at least given me that one person that I can know without the shadow of a doubt that this person wants to see me succeed, and it's not just performative. That's why I shut down my Facebook. I think there's too many people, because Facebook for me, it has my in real life people that I know. I don't follow those people on Twitter, Instagram, or no other website, but they're on my Facebook. And so I shut my Facebook down because I don't want people taking the easy route to being able to reach out to me. I know that probably sounds backwards, but it really shows who cares when people actually go out of their way. And yes, I do mean go out of their way. Like right now, I'm dealing with people that, and one person in particular that makes a lot of fuss, like, where have you been? I miss you. But yet, you know how to reach me. You know how to reach me. And I'm sharing this as an example because you have to know, you have to watch people's behavior. When God reveals to you a person's heart, and people may think they care, but you have to see this stuff. You have to see this stuff. And I'm now trying to figure out, am I going to address this person, or am I going to address this behavior? Because I personally don't like it. And I've also learned you don't reveal everything to everybody so quickly. You let God do the sifting and the separating. But I've never liked people that are like, oh, I miss you, but they only tell you they miss you when they see you. If you miss me, why did you not reach out to me? Because you could have subsided that desire or that lack by simply speaking to me. If I'm not mistaken, if I'm now, maybe I'm being ignorant about it. But anybody that I miss, I've gotten on my phone, I've gotten on whatever little app, social media thing, and I've reached out to them. That's just me being honest. Because that's what, if someone comes up in my spirit, majority, 9 times out of 10, I know that it is because either I need to pray for them, or I need to talk to them, or something like that. There's no reason why you should be, quote unquote, missing a person unless they're dead and gone. And unless you have absolutely no contact. You get what I'm saying? Like, let's say you stop being friends and you miss the relationship because the relationship is no longer there. You miss certain things that they did because it's no longer available to you. Right? That makes sense to me. But missing something that you have access to, that's idiotic. That doesn't make sense. Don't miss me. Don't especially, let's say you thought about me a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, but and then also you asked someone else about me, but you didn't ask me about me. Now you're being lazy. And now it's about convenience for you. Because I'm speaking for people that know how to reach me or know how to reach anyone. You're being lazy, and it's about convenience, and you don't really care about that person. Because if you have their information, don't ask someone else about them. Now you're partaking in gossip, and you're just talking just to talk. There is no genuine intention behind what you're doing, right? That's just, this is just my opinion. But then when you see this person act like, don't, it's just very weird to me. I will never do that. You will never hear me say that I missed a person and then waited months or waited weeks before I saw them or I interacted with them. And then I will say this to seal the deal, seal that, right? And if the only time you ever see them is when they come around you, that's a problem. You didn't even try to get to them at all, but you said you missed them? Oh, you're a liar. You're a liar. There ain't nothing that can convince me otherwise. You are a liar. 100%. And I mean, shame to you. Shame to you. May God deal with that accordingly, because that right there, people put on way too many shows and they do too many flips, and I don't know what demons y'all be wrestling with, but that's crazy. You miss somebody, but you don't. Are you praying for them? I mean, you asking about them, but why you asking about somebody that you got their number and you haven't called them, you haven't texted them, you didn't send an email, you didn't send a fax, you didn't send a Facebook message, you ain't do none of that. But yet you miss that person. Girl, bye. Girl, bye. But I mean, I think that is something that I'm probably gonna end up addressing, because I feel like that's phony. You know, some people may not see it that deep, but I don't want fake people around me. I don't want people around me anymore that act like they care about me, and I know they don't. Because and trust me, I have learned to trust the signs. You know, I know for a fact that there are good people out there in the world. I know for a fact God has done a lot with like recalibrating my mind and helping me to understand that there are people out in this world that will love me and that do actively love me. Like I said with Joseph, they're probably just like Joseph's dad. They don't know they don't know what to do. They don't, you know, Joseph's dad probably, let's assume Joseph went looking for his dad went looking for his son, right? But what do you do when you think someone is dead? You know, and though some of us, we may not be dead, but there are some people out there who love us dearly, but they just don't know what to do. But that is better than dealing with people who act like they care about you, but they're not doing anything. I don't know. It's hard to explain that, but I feel like when you get it, you know. But nah, yeah, I'm gonna deal with that in time when I deal with it, because it doesn't make sense to me how you could miss someone, but you don't immediately or as quickly as possible reach out to them. I don't get it. But those are the kind of people that I forgive also, because there's been times like I've thought about someone and I didn't reach out to them, you know. But I'm telling you, you will never hear me say I miss a person. Excuse me. Sorry. You will never hear me say I miss a person. Now, granted, and this is I will say this is a flaw right here, right? But I try not to do this though. But I've done it before. When someone says, "Oh, I miss you," and then you be like, "I miss you too." And honestly, because you feel rude for not saying it back. But I don't know. In my spirit, I just feel like, why am I lying? If I miss you, I know how to reach out to you. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know. I'm trying to stop doing that, because I've always been like that. Like, even when I told this story before, there was a girl in my high school and she asked if we were friends, and I said, nah, but we cool. Like, I've always lived by that level of honesty, because it reveals who is for you and who is not. There was nothing mean or rude or evil about me telling this girl no, we weren't friends. Matter of fact, you should have want to build a relationship with me because of the level of honesty that I was trying to present before you. But that right there, me saying that later revealed she did not care for me. She was not gonna be good to me in the long run, because immediately her whole countenance toward me changed. And I can't say I blame her. I mean, and she was in her flesh. I mean, what do you expect? You tell someone you're not friends, they're gonna react like an enemy. But that right there, if all it takes is a few words for someone to reveal to you, and you didn't curse them, you didn't call them stupid, you didn't say nothing bad, you just told the truth, and that this is what they're revealing to you, oh baby, God saved you from that 100%. And you know, even her I forgive. I thank God for a lot of the people that are not in my life, regardless, and that's why I was talking last night and I said I will never sit up here and say that people have destroyed me. The devil is a liar. I think some people may have tried to, but it would take so much credit away from God to be like, oh, I'm ruined, or to embrace something that is not true. I mean, I am way too powerful, I think, creatively, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. Like, I am way too powerful logically, systemically, to be sitting here and letting the actions of someone in my past trying to be in my future, which I want to talk about that a little bit, but someone from my past to have any weight in my tomorrow. But there was a person that I accidentally rubbed the wrong way, and I'm gonna skip a lot of this story, but ultimately I ended up apologizing to them. And one of the key things that I said in this apology was, I'm sorry for trying to be in your life without giving you giving us the conversation that we actually needed. I'm sorry, that was loud for some reason. But yeah, I'm sorry for not giving us the conversation that we actually needed. And I think that is very important to me. God has really been helping me to be very wise and very eloquent with my words, very potent with my words, and understanding how what needs to be said, how you need to say it, and the actions that need to follow behind it. But even in my life, I deserve the kind of person that I see I'm becoming, and that I see I've always been. I deserve me. I have yet to see anyone besides God better than me, better to me than me. But that's the way it's supposed to be, honestly. No one should be treating you better than you treat yourself. You should be setting the precedent every day on how to treat you. But it would be nice to know that if I was ever down, I could look to someone and be like, oh, they got my back. They're going to be honest. They're going to tell me the truth. They're going to support me. They're going to be there for me. If it's not good, they gonna say that, but they still gonna support it. And they gonna lead me in the direction which I should go, so that when I'm older, I will not depart from it. They're gonna do that spiritually. They're gonna do that in the artistic field. They're gonna do it in business. They're gonna do it in family. They're gonna do it in every aspect of my life. They're gonna lead me down the path of righteousness for the sake of God. They're gonna collaborate with God. And so, that person, I was just like, yeah, I'm sorry for not giving us the conversation that we were due, and in my life, yeah, that is something now, that is a precedent that I have just set, and I will not be talking with no one who owes me, forgive you, but we will not be having unnecessary conversations. You will not be having access to me without giving me what I am due. And the Bible talks about not withholding something from someone who is entitled to it. So being entitled, I think there's a godly way to go about it, and there's a wicked way to go about it. No one, even if you owe me, God will pay me back, right? But if you decide to disobey God, then I have a right to enforce the law of God, enforce the thing that the judgment of God. And if God is saying your judgment is to no longer have me in your life, then so shall it be. Because at the end of the day, if God is saying cut that person off and let me deal with that, then I'm going to do it. Because one thing for me, and I don't want this for anybody, I don't want you to look at your phone one day and you have aspirations of doing certain things, and then you look at your phone and now let's not say you're depressed, but you got all these negative emotions and feelings rushing through your brain, and now the drive that you had, it gets sucked out of you because of a text message. That's a problem. That's a problem. And it comes down to, it's one or two things. Maybe you haven't forgave the person, or maybe that person is not cut for your life in this moment and in this season, and you need to start blocking and deleting. Because Samson could have lived a long and good life if he would have blocked and deleted Delilah out of his life. If he would have did what God told him to do and stayed away from the foreign women, like the heritage and the precedent that was set for him, he would have lived a little bit longer. And so that's all I'm saying. And that's why I think it was good that Joseph was not able, and maybe it was in his mind to run back to his family. Maybe it wasn't, but it would be crazy and delusional to run back to people that tried to kill you. Let God work on them. Let them think what they did worked. Let it happen. Because God, ultimately, God is going to get the glory at the end of it all, regardless. And I mean, God is going to correct me, chastise me. That's one thing I've always prayed for. And I know a lot of people don't like that. But God, it is said that God chastises who he loves. So if God ain't chastising you, you need to start asking, does God love me? Because I don't know, If you feel like you can do no wrong and everything in your life is going right, and I think there will be a season. There should be long periods where everything in our life is going right because of the love of God. But I don't know. Some people, but no, I forgiveness it's an action, right? The king forgave that servant by not throwing him in jail. That was a part of the forgiveness. It wasn't just a verbal thing, because the king could have said, I forgive you, but still made the servant pay. He didn't even take anything, forgave the debt and did not throw him in jail. Right? But then when the king saw that this servant was still wicked in heart and was able to act out that wickedness on someone else, okay, now here's what you owe me. Here's what you're due. And so, God is really the only judge, but I think even as ambassadors of the kingdom of God, just like Moses, we got to know when it's time to fight. Like Elijah, we got to know when it's time to fight. Moses versus Korah, Elijah versus the prophets of Baal. We got to know when it's time to fight. And to me, listen, at this point I have learned I am not against saying something that some people may not agree with. And what do I mean by that? If I know God is calling down a judgment, I'm going to call it down as well. Whatever the case may be, I'm not a person anymore that's going to say, God bless you. No. May God deal with you accordingly. May you reap the reward in which you have sown. May you get the benefits of that. All across the board. All across the board. And at the end of it, may God get the glory. because ultimately God wishes that no man should perish. So I don't either. I don't want no man to die. But like King Ahab, if God can't get to you, then whatever God says is law. Whenever God is done, God is done. That ain't got nothing to do with me. But just like God, I wish that no man perish. So in any judgment that I do cast on a person, I'm like, Lord, let it lead that person back to you. Whatever you may do in regards to trouble or whatever, let it lead that person back to you. Don't take that person's life without them having the ability and the option to accept you as Lord and Savior, and also make amends for their deeds, their wrongdoings or whatever. Let them be a testimony. Let that be a testament to the goodness of God. And I mean, genuinely, because at the end of the day, God is a God of justice, I believe. And I don't think people get away with nothing. Absolutely nothing. It is all accounted for, I think, here on earth and as it is in heaven. There are sins that lead to death, but then there are those that don't. But even then, it is not to be questioned, because all sin is sin. But there is a weight. There is a scale. Someone who stole a lollipop will not, well, that depends on the intention really, but someone who stole a lollipop even still won't be held to the same standard as someone who massacred a whole village just because of their disdain for people and God's creation. But even still, there's still sin. You're still transgressing against God. But I mean, well, that's another conversation. I'm just saying, forgiveness, how do we show it? How do we show it, and how do we live in it? Because it's not just words. It's something that is acted out daily. But like God, Jesus presented before us, it does become hard to forgive a person when they continuously do that thing over and over and over and over again. It really does. And that's why, I mean, we should forgive a person 70 times 7, but I don't know, sometimes it just seems like, ooh, child, they don't care for me, Lord. So I need you to sever that whatever it is, and let me go be free so you can bless me, because I don't do demonic tethers. I don't do demonic anchors. People, let me say this. I'm gonna throw this out there. Don't call me lazy if you've never supported a stream, if you've never supported a podcast, and this is me being emotional. Maybe it's me being godly and I don't really know it. But yeah, don't say you don't be in my face calling me lazy, because that's demonic. When you've never retweeted, you've never reposted, you've never shared, you've never asked for a drawing, you've never tried to pay for anything. Don't do it. That's not good for you. It won't be good for you. It won't be good for you. And that's for the people that know me, and that's for the people that have ignorantly spoken about me. It is what it is. I have done too much for God at this point for anyone to call me lazy. It's kind of upsetting, it is very upsetting. But at the end of the day, you got to understand, this is a battle that we fight, not flesh and blood, but spiritual things in high places. And even though, like I was saying yesterday, Satan don't be pushing a lot of these people to do this stuff. This is wickedness that is inside a man's heart. Some people, they do this stuff willingly. Some people sin willingly. They don't even have to be tempted. Really, genuinely, if we want to be honest about it, demons don't have to be possessing these people. Spirits don't have, now it might be spirits, but I'm just saying, a lot of people, some people choose to do this stuff. But that's a different kind of a situation, because I know I was in a stronghold with masturbation and stuff like that. But God came and delivered me out of that. You get what I'm saying? And so to people, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying, just because you don't know how to love me, don't mean that I don't know how to love myself. You know, and God has definitely shown me my future, and maybe I've only seen it in part. Maybe I've only seen a very, very small facet, very minute detail. But if you're not gonna aid and help with it, bye. Goodbye. 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 Because you don't have the love of God in your heart regarding me. You know, I think it better that I listen to God than, and for all of us, it's better that we listen to God than let other people play God over our lives. Not only, you know, bringing ruin to them, but bringing ruin to ourselves. So, with all that being said, I don't even know, you know, if it takes me having to do multiple videos like these where I'm just expressing my feelings and it don't make sense, it's gonna make sense to somebody. You know, that's one thing I'll say right quick too. You know, all of the people who in my life that tried to make me feel like they didn't succeed, because God has made me better than most of them. And if you don't want to think that some people are better than others, please. Because I mean, even in Matthew's what is it? 4, Matthew 18:4. So the greatest in the kingdom of God who is whoever makes himself as humble as a child. So we understand that those with childlike faith are better than those with a grown up approach. So even in the kingdom of God, you can be better than someone. And so that same thing, as it is in heaven, so shall it be in the earth. But no, people that, you know, tried to make me feel as if though what I had was too peculiar or too strange, or it didn't fit the mold. It wasn't supposed to fit the mold. It wasn't supposed to be the way you did it. You know, I think we genuinely have to stop allowing people to shed their insecurities and their lack of faith in God onto us. The same way with the person who I was having the conversation with about how their variables, quote unquote, did not set them up for success. It's not about the things that you have available in your life. You know, you got to strive every day. I think that's the difference between people who are resourceful and people who they just want things to be handed to them. I've never been an entitled person, right? I don't think God owes me success. I think God pays diligently those who decide to work for him, but God don't owe man nothing. But when you have decided to be a servant of the Lord, I do believe that God pays righteously. And there is a just reward due to those who want to obey God. So it's kind of, there's a difference there. God don't owe us, but God wants to pay. God, I think, is the best employer in the world. And I don't believe God will allow any employer to outdo him. But I mean, no, yeah, to the, like, regarding the person and their variables, you know, I don't know, just some things you need a little bit more faith, and you need a little bit more diligence. You need a little bit more tenacity. You got to be able to listen to people and their heartbreak and realize where they're speaking from, you know, because some people are speaking from a place that is not intending to heal. I hope that everything that I said today is helping someone else. Don't become bitter. Don't become angry. Don't be sad. Be if you are sad and if you are angry, be that for but a moment. And then realize, okay, God has something for me. So I'm gonna give that to God. I'm gonna move from that. And I'm gonna go into the goodness, the best portion of my life. Because God has that waiting and ready for me. I want that for me. And so I mean I want that for you too. And so that I think it's essential that we practice forgiveness. We practice letting go, but we also practice trusting God, putting our faith in God, not in the variables, not in the circumstances, not in the resources, because it is when you are weak, God can be proven strong. And God also said, let the weak say, I am strong. And Jesus also, what we also know through Jesus Christ, we can do all things that strengthen us. And yes, that does pertain to being obedient. That does pertain to living righteously. That does pertain to pursuing your dreams. That does pertain to doing the thing of God. That does pertain to actually being a good father, husband, brother, sibling, sister, whatever, wife, whatever. That does pertain to every facet of your life. Through Christ, you can do all things. You can live faithfully. You can live a long and good life through Christ. I don't think it just stops with our inner being. I think it exudes and it is supposed to be revealed in the external things. I don't know. I just happen to believe that when you do the things of God, God is a faithful and just rewarder of those who diligently seek him. I believe that. That's my faith. And ain't nobody else got to believe that for me. But I believe this is the year of getting paid for me. I'm not going to say that for anyone else. I believe that for me, you know, all of the faith that you, that the checks that you wrote in faith, the prayers that you said in faith, the proclamations and the confessions that you made in faith. And then also the things that you done that nobody had seen, the things that you did, but people mislabeled and people looked over. God is a just rewarder, I believe fully. You know, the sins that you turned away from, the things that you stopped doing so that you could give more honor and attention to God, the light that you're trying to set in the earth, the salt that you're trying to be. God is just. I believe that, you know, no one can outdo him. And so, I mean, I want to wrap this all up because I'm ranting at this point, but I want people to know it is okay for people to tell their story. People telling their story does not mean they're bitter. It's just like all the people in this life that try to tell the truth, but yet we, for whatever reason, or let's say y'all, because I like listening to people and their story. I don't try to be like, well, you got to focus on you. You got to look at you. No. What did they do to you? Let me know. Because no, maybe they weren't right. They did not do the right thing. But let me help. What can I do to relieve you of some of that pain? Because ultimately we do have that responsibility for each other. You know, really only God can deliver, but God will send certain people into certain moments of your life in order to really be a healing property, to be a benefit for you, to be suitable for that moment of your life. God does that. Just like God, I mean, you know, well, I'm not gonna go into this now. I may talk about it in another video, but there's people out here who don't believe apostles exist anymore and that healing miracles don't happen today. But Jesus said, whoever believes what you have said, they will receive this, the ability to cast out demons in my name. They will, there was like 3-4 things that Jesus said that believer that trust what you said, they will take up. They will also gain this ability. And then not only did the Holy Spirit come and be poured out over all men, and God said he would give his spirit to all men. So healing miracles exist today. Jesus said, those that believe you, what you are saying to them, this was before he went up, they will receive the ability to lay hands on people and heal the sick. So, I think we're dealing with a time of people who definitely have lost their faith in God. But I do also think that we're in a time where we don't really have apostles. We don't really have, and I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm just saying they're dormant. But they may be in the earth, but I don't think we have real prophets anymore. But if we don't have real prophets, then I don't think we have real good teachers like we should. Now, I'm not saying that they're. Oh, what am I saying? Let me just rewind. Let's go back, because I don't think it's time for that moment. I don't think it's time for that moment. I might talk about that in another video, because I think people's faith is just failing them. People are losing faith, and they're mixing humanism in with the word of God, trying to make it make sense for them, because they're not looking for God. They're looking for something to latch on to make sense of life. And that's a scary thing, but that's another conversation. Either way, remember to stay positive. Keep that with you, spread it wherever you go. I'm probably going to do more of this. This is really going to help me, I think, to get back into my bag of being the conversationalist that I am, and doing the things that God has given unto me, because like I said, I think me caring too much about people's feelings has brought me to a place where I don't want to speak, or me thinking that people aren't listening anyway. But you know what? God told one of the prophets that, you're going to say all of this stuff and they're not going to hear you anyway. But I want you to say it, and to me that is a sad moment. It's like God is telling you to say something and you already know they're not going to listen, but you still have to do it anyway. That's the sad part. But yeah, love yourself and love others. Stay safe. I will catch y'all in the next one. I need an outro screen, and I will make one, I think. That's going to be, okay. Bye. Bye.